This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the Motor City Sports Rant is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners can save 20% off the first year of an annual subscription to a great sports website by visiting theathletic.com/DSP. Great writers, in-depth coverage. The Athletic does a great job. I read it every single day, at least for an hour. Several great articles. And if you want to subscribe, you can save 20% off the first year of a subscription. Visit theathletic.com/DSP.
Detroit is the greatest! Straight up light you on fire for a coney dog right now.
Takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Motor City Sports Rant on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. With you again, 2 weeks in a row. I'm Jason Jarvie. Follow me on Twitter at Jarvie the King. With me, as always, sitting across from me in his blue striped shirt because he loves the color blue, and he goes blue all the time. John, the Doc Macaroon. How's it going, sir?
Listen, do you even like sports still?
Yeah, I do like sports.
I have to call you out, Jason, because of the fact that on Saturday, I have a schedule. I make my own schedule, obviously being here at the practice. So I'm texting everybody. I'm like, okay, does anybody want to go to the bar? Does anybody want to go 2 o'clock on a Saturday when most people have off? Just a couple hours. College basketball is quick, about 2 hours and 15 minutes max, barring any overtime. So I'm texting people, hey, you want to go to the bar, watch Michigan State? I mean, it's the rematch. It's the marquee college basketball matchup in the state of Michigan. And I text Vito. He's busy. He's watching the game, actually, with his family. No problem. Adam's taking care of things. My family was busy. Some people were working. So I text you, the co-host here on the Motor City Sports Rant. I'm like, bro, what do you think of the game so far? I text you about maybe 2:15. I'm like, okay, what do you think? What was your response back to me? Because it was a major violation, especially with the words that you chose to text me with.
I think specifically it was not watching the game with the shruggy face emoji.
Why? It's Michigan State. And then the other thing that you said, which was vile, was, I'm not even concerned about Michigan. You're like, who cares? We got this in the bag. And I'm like, Jason, have you not watched Michigan? The matchup, Michigan versus Michigan State, obviously favors the Wolverines because in the previous matchup at home, Michigan State, didn't come to the table with the highest of energy. Michigan punked Michigan State at their house, and Michigan shoots lights out. So a team like that should always scare you. So I was forced to watch the game at a bar by myself, in basically a pro-Michigan house. The place was great at the Tap and Barrel Grill.
I'm sure you were wearing that shirt blue, so you didn't get any trouble, right?
Listen, I'm a quiet fan. I just kind of clap a little bit when Michigan State did make their run. They had the halftime lead. But at the same time, how can you, as a co-host of a nationwide podcast, not watch Michigan State? How were you so glib thinking that Michigan State had it when you watch Michigan play college basketball? Michigan owns Michigan State.
Man,
what's wrong with you?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna quote Prince Fielder here. I got kids, man.
Is that what you were doing? Oh, that's even worse. You should have lied and just said I was doing housework.
No, man, it was a family day. We went out to Great Lakes Crossing, got lunch, did the Sea Life Aquarium, and then ended up going to my nephew's basketball game.
Jason, what the?
That was the more important basketball game on that day for me.
It was only 2 hours. I mean, literally, everybody in the state of Michigan was excited to see what was going to go down for those 2 hours, and you missed it. That's a major violation, bro. You should have planned your day around it.
Yeah, and they lost. So it would have been a waste of 2 hours. If I would have sat down for 2 hours and they lose that game, which isn't even the championship game, and they would have lost, I would have been so pissed that I could have missed out on time spent with my family, because during the week, I get a couple hours that I get to spend with my family. I get to see my son and it's important to me, and I'm not mad at you, but it's just the way that I choose to live my life. I'm not gonna. Sports isn't going to. I don't want to let it ruin my life.
Oh, my God. No, it didn't ruin my life. I enjoyed the 2 hours free. I had some beers. I had some great potato soup at the Tap and Barrel Grill. I enjoyed my time. It was quiet. I enjoyed my time. Listen, you also have to get to the point where, I was upset for 20 minutes.
I'm going to grill you for getting soup at a bar.
Listen, the food there is good.
Come on, man.
The soup was good.
You got to get the wings. I don't care what your doctor says.
Well, listen, I want to tell you this, okay?
You got to go out like Kevin Smith, 100% blocked.
I feel like you also need to devote just a couple hours. I mean, 2 to 4. Listen, win or lose, it was a telling matchup. You got a chance to see the holes that Michigan State basketball has going into a tournament. A team like Michigan that can shoot lights out can do some things, and so it really hit home to me that Michigan State's not a college national basketball favorite to win the national title. I feel like maybe they can get to the Elite Eight, maybe the ceiling is the Final Four, but Michigan favors very well against Michigan State, a team that can shoot lights out, a team that brings the energy. And here's the thing that was basically exposed. In big moments, it's Miles Bridges and nobody else. Nick Ward was a minus 15 on the floor. He only played 10 minutes. Jaren Jackson was Brick City. He wasn't able to bring the noise. Cassius Winston, basically, Miles Bridges is going to give you around 18 to 22 points a game. He's going to bring the noise. He's going to deliver. You can count on him. Who else? If you're counting on Cassius Winston, my stock goes way down because if you're counting on him to hit big shots in a college national semifinal, get the hell out of here, bro. You need someone else.
I got to disagree with you, though, saying that they're not one of the contenders for this national championship.
No,
they have, 4 losses this year, 2 of them against Michigan. So that's one team out of those 4 losses that have our number and have the players around them that can really compete with Michigan State. All the other time, Michigan State has found ways to win, and that's what the NCAA tournament is about. That they go in and they find ways to win. Now, I will agree, and I think that they can beat anybody. I also think that they can lose to everybody. If they go in, I'm assuming they're probably going to be a 2 seed. I think a 3 seed would be a little disrespectful at this point, but wherever they fall going into the tournament, I think it's going to be. I'm not going to be terribly shocked because if they come up against a team who, like you said with Michigan, they can just turn it on and they shoot the ball well. That's the kind of teams that Michigan State has problems with. That when they can't control the pace of the game, then they're going to struggle and they're going to have to really rely on guys like Miles Bridges and Cassius Winston and whatever Tom Izzo magic they have to win those games.
Now, obviously, we're going to focus a little bit more on Michigan State, but we have to give credit to the University of Michigan. John Beilein's team, year in, year out, what they do is they get better as the season progresses. And by all accounts, by all reports, he has great systems in place so that shooters can continue to evolve as shooters. I mean, basically, it's a three-point warehouse over there at Michigan. They can flat out shoot. Now, a three-point shooting team can get cold, and some issues are definitely popping up for Michigan in terms of free throws and things like that, in terms of consistency. But in terms of what you saw, Michigan's ceiling is pretty high. And one question I asked on our Twitter page that basically got a 50-50 response was, do you think, based on what you saw this year, that Michigan should be seated lower than Michigan State? Meaning, don't you think, based on winning the Big Ten tournament, what you've seen now in the last few weeks with Michigan, that maybe Michigan should be a 2 seed and State should be a 3 seed?
No.
Does Michigan deserve, based on what you just saw in the last 5 days, to be seated better than Michigan State?
Not at all. I still feel like Michigan is, overall, Michigan is going to lose. They're going to lose to some big teams, and I just don't see what they've done this year. It doesn't. I could see them being a similar seed, like if they both end up as a 3 seed or a 3 and a 4, but in no way, shape, or form should Michigan be ranked ahead of Michigan State at this point.
The notion you could say is they played head to head twice, and Michigan came out on top.
You can't base the seeding off of just conference tournaments. You have to look at the whole of the season. And yeah, in their head to head matchups, that's when they beat them. But look at the rest of the season. It's not just about beating Michigan State. It's about what you did the rest of the season.
Okay, I'll make the argument that based on what I'm seeing, if Michigan plays that way, in a tournament setting where you played back to back to back and you destroyed Nebraska, you played Michigan State very tight, and then you go out there versus the number 3 seed in Purdue, and you go out there and you handle your business and shoot lights out. That gives you the opportunity day in, day out to say, and when you look at Michigan, that team's pretty good. If they can defend, if they can hit free throws, this team can play with anybody. And so, yeah, I do think that they could, be a team that could lose in the opening weekend, or they can make a deep run. But just based on looking at Michigan versus Michigan State, I know that some people will give credit to Michigan State for winning the Big Ten overall title during the regular season, and then Michigan won the tournament. But when you look at it and say, when you look at seeding, I think there's value in what you're watching now. And I do believe that I think the fairest thing that should happen is they both should be probably a 3 seed. I think that's fair. Put them in different regions so that they can maybe have a national matchup. Maybe we deserve to see this one more time on the biggest stage, but I just do believe that when you look at the matchups, Michigan matches up better with Michigan State because of the fact they bring more heart. Wagner is playing out of his mind. Simpson's coming to the table. You have role players that are making shots, and then look, you got a guy like Teskey who averages 3 points, and he comes to play in the biggest moments. So Michigan has some unsung heroes that can come to the table and shoot. When you make big shots game in and game out, that's a team I'd rather roll with, and I would rather watch a team like Michigan, and it would be more exciting because it's probably going to be boom or bust.
It might be more exciting.
Michigan State is going to give Michigan State's going to give everybody heart attacks because they're going to play 2-possession games, 1 or 2 possession games within the entire tournament. I don't think they're going to win by more than 6 points in any game.
Yeah, Michigan may be more exciting going into this tournament, but what I also see is that they've had to play this high level, putting everything out on the floor throughout the entire tournament, and they've now played all those extra games. I think they have all that more wear and tear on them. I think it's going to wear on them going into the NCAA tournament, and I think that'll ultimately be their downfall. That this streak, or however they're hot shooting, it's how are they going to handle that when they aren't hitting threes?
I might have even undersold both programs. Guess where Michigan lands in the AP poll this week?
Don't tell me they're in the top 10.
Number 7. Ugh. Michigan and Michigan State might both be worthy of a number 2 seed. I think what's likely going to happen is Michigan will be a 3 or 4 seed and Michigan State will be a 2 seed. That's the likelihood. That's probably what's going to happen. But I do believe that Michigan can make an argument that, look, we've played very well. We destroyed the Big Ten tournament. We're hot right now. They're number 7 overall. They're playing really well. Their defense is locked down. They got a lot of young athletes. I do believe that they're probably worthy of a 2 or 3 seed, but I'm hoping when it shakes out, obviously being that I'm going to go cover the NCAA at Little Caesars Arena, I hope it's Michigan State and Oakland at Little Caesars Arena. Send Michigan somewhere else, baby. I already see them last year. I don't want to see them dancing all over the place all over again. I want to see State and Oakland, baby.
You want to know why I also say that I wasn't really worried about that game on Saturday?
Why is that?
Is because ultimately Big Ten tournaments, Big Ten championships don't matter. All that matters is the national championship. And if Michigan State loses, if they lost 3 games, if they lost 4 regular season games to Michigan, I'd be okay with that. If they came up to them into the NCAA tournament and won that game, I'd be fine being 1-3, 1-4, even though I know they're not playing 4 regular season games with them. But I'm just saying, I'd rather lose to them 4 times regular season Big Ten tournament and then win in the NCAA tournament, because that's when it really matters.
Okay, so you're not too upset regarding what happened over the weekend. You just say, look, it's another game. Look, Michigan has a good team, and look, in the end, it's what goes down in the NCAA. It's most important. But doesn't it make you feel like Michigan State could have some significant struggles?
I think they're always going to have significant struggles, but what I know is that Tom Izzo, he takes these games and he takes these losses and he uses them as teaching moments for this team. So it may even be a good thing that they losing in the Big Ten tournament and losing to Michigan specifically. You know that he's going to have these guys ready to go for the NCAA tournament, because you're not going to want to lose to your rival in a tournament and then have another repeat of getting bounced out in the first round of the tournament. It's just not going to happen. They're going to come out, they're going to be gangbusters and just dominate the first 2 rounds.
Now, we will definitely talk about the week off as well, because of the fact that the Big Ten tournament was played in Madison Square Garden. It was played a week earlier than what we're used to. So we'll talk about that shortly. But had you sat and watched the game, a major talking point also developed in terms of the rivalry between Michigan and Michigan State. I want to play you something, and I don't know if you heard it or not, but tell me what you think you hear when you hear this clip, because it's kind of sparked debate online. It really didn't hit us too much, but some people have gone back and forth saying, what did we actually hear here? Because it doesn't sound too flattering when you hear this clip.
Him for Michigan. Went through that pre-draft combine, if you will, and then decided I'm going to go back to Ann Arbor.
That clip there is Wagner at the free throw line, and some people have picked up on it and said, look, were Michigan State fans chanting Hitler at Wagner? And it's kind of come out, it's been debated, and right now, as we record this, the facts of the matter are being disputed. Some people are coming out saying that, look, low-class Sparty fans went out there and started to chant Hitler at a German player. Others are saying, no, back it up. This did not happen. It was not Hitler. People have played it 1,000 times. I can't really make it out because in different versions of it, you hear different things. It sounds like they're actually chanting Victor Hitler, because people are trying to analyze the sound, things like that. I'm a guy that doesn't want to believe that even the lowest class Michigan State fans would chant that. But did you hear about this? And from what you heard,
play that for me one more time. I want to hear that one more time.
Is this the first you're hearing of this?
It is the first time I'm hearing of it.
It's been online. It's been debated. It's being debated. At first, people were pissed because they came out and said, it's Hitler. Others have said, no, I was in the arena. It's actually Victor, which is Maurice Wagner's real first name. And Michigan State fans always try to mess with people's names. He did actually miss the free throw. I think it's Victor, but a lot of people are debating it. Let me play it one more time.
Him for Michigan. Went through that pre-draft combine, if you will, and then decided I'm going to go back to Ann Arbor.
So knowing what to listen for here, I hear Victor.
Okay.
And I get what people are saying, that you could make the argument, but and this is me, and I like to think that I have a pretty good ear. Sound editing is one of the things that I do very well, and I don't hear if you want to get nerdy about it, I don't hear like the L in there. I hear Vict, and then I hear and I don't hear, if it were to be Hitler, that I don't hear the hit and then lur.
So that's what was being debated online, because somebody posted it and said, what is being chanted here? And it's been debated, and it did kind of, spark the Michigan State rivalry. Oh, Michigan State has low class, things like that. But exactly, I'm glad that people have come out and said, no, in the arena, people heard it. It was Victor. And it was crazy because I was like, man, would Michigan State fans stoop to that level in this rivalry? Being a State guy, I even couldn't do that.
I don't think there's enough of those people. I think there are those people out there who would do something like that. I don't think there's enough
crazy, right?
To where it would be that noticeable on a play-by-play broadcast.
Exactly, and it wasn't. I don't think it was mentioned too much, but like in the world of online social media, things like that get blown up, and people are parsing it, trying to listen to it, and I'm going to take the high road on this and give the fans a pass. I think it was Victor, and I do think it's creative as well, because if you had the gall to do that, and especially knowing after the fact that his mother was in the building, there has to be a chance that maybe family members are showing up, that the dude has support. For fans to chant something that derogatory would be pretty bad. And it would probably, if it was Hitler, it would have prompted Michigan State, the administration, to come out and apologize.
Absolutely.
They would have done a formal investigation. Every single person that was on camera saying that or was discovered, there would have been more individual videos of people.
We would have heard about it. I mean, look at the Blackhawks. Those we've
Instantly.
heard a number of times of the people.
It would have been instant.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch gears here and talk about the fact that the Big Ten tournament happened a week earlier. Basically, it's Monday. As we're recording this podcast will drop on Tuesday. Both Michigan and Michigan State are not going to play potentially for a week and a half. Both teams might not play and suit up until Thursday or Friday of next week. Do you think that's a good thing for both squads? Get their legs under them, relax a little bit, take some time off, get some more practice time. I think it'll benefit Michigan State really greatly to have this time off because of the condensed schedule. It'll give Tom Izzo a chance to check out the film, do some team bonding activities, and get this team right because somebody's got to step up. This team has to grow. I think they've plateaued in that we know what they can do, but they got to get better. They got to kick it into one more gear if they're going to have success at the biggest level. I don't know if they're going to do it.
I think it helps the teams differently. And it may be my bias a little bit, but this is what I would say is that I think it helps Michigan State that they have this time, get completely healthy, and you're coming off the loss. You get to know what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be dealing with, and you can come fresh and get ready to get on a roll in the NCAA tournament. Where Michigan, being a team that's on a roll, being a team that if the NCAA tournament started today, that I don't think there's really any team that would want to go up against Michigan outside of maybe Duke, who they can seemingly match up with anybody. But there would be no team today right now who'd want to match up with Michigan. Having this week off, it pours cold water on them. So unless they're just going to be constantly hype and ready to go when the tournament starts, then they're going to cool down, and I think they're going to see all this hype that's about them. You know, it's the same hype that Michigan State has had around them before in previous seasons. That, you know, everybody's saying that Michigan State's is a favorite to be a national championship, and everyone right now they call them the dark horse, and that Michigan is the team to beat right now. So I think it gives them time to get in their heads, and I mean, I guess you could say the same thing for Michigan State. You never really want to see a huge layoff in between these games, but I think if a team that it hurts more, I'd have to go with Michigan.
I really enjoyed the fact that the tournament was a week earlier. I think it's a good time to have a tournament at the beginning of March, take a week off. It should be universal. I wish that every conference tournament could end the first week of March, and that way everybody gets a week off because, you know, there's going to be some teams that play and finish their tournaments next Sunday, and they get like 4 or 5 days off. I think it'd be great.
I mean,
if every tournament
that's a little biased then? I mean, if there are teams that get on runs in this next week, you know, they're going to be able to roll right into the tournament.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think it should be uniform. They should get it where it ends on Sunday. We get a week to kind of debate a little bit. You get some of these shows, you get some content where we debate back and forth regarding what's going to go down, who deserves to be where. You have some of these ranking shows, and then the Selection Sunday happens, and then these teams can get 2 weeks off because then you have, you know, the college basketball teams. Because covering Oakland, you see what injuries can do to a team. You see what practice time can do to a squad. And so if you get extra days, I feel like it can make the NCAA tournament better. It can make everything a lot more smooth. You get the best players healthy. You get everybody situated. I like it, but it's probably not logical. And I don't know if the Big Ten is going to keep doing it. But for me this year, it makes it great because you get time to decompress a little bit, break some things down. Both squads, both fan bases can get a chance to kind of, you know, relax for a little bit, 10 days, and then it picks back up in a couple weeks. I liked a little bit of a break in between the end of the regular season and tournaments and the big NCAA tournament. I like it.
Yeah. So you got any medical procedures scheduled for the first round?
Well, Jason, let me tell you this. I do not have any medical procedures scheduled. I will be at Little Caesars Arena the Friday and the Sunday watching each and every single contest, baby. I'll be covering it, and it'll be great. I can't wait. I'm hoping it's Michigan State and Oakland. That would be a dream come true. It really, like I said, each thing that happens, you know, I got an opportunity to sit on the floor, take pictures. Oakland's first round matchup at the Horizon League tournament. Each thing that happens is kind of like a further culmination. So I covered Michigan last year. To cover Michigan State, a team that I support, a team that, you know, I definitely watch quite a bit, and then Oakland at the same time, to have them both in the same regional at Little Caesars Arena, there would be nothing like it, and I can't imagine doing anything else. The Friday and the Sunday, the schedule is cleared. I do got some family things the evening, so Vito's going to take care of the rest. Should Michigan State play round one, I don't think they'll be eliminated. So no matter what, I'm watching all the games on Sunday, probably half the games on Friday. So we'll be in the mix. We'll be shouting out Detroit Sports Podcast, and you know, all we're doing is making waves and just keep learning. I took some good pictures. Did you get a chance to see online? I posted. You see the pictures?
I did.
good, right?
Yeah, good stuff.
They're not bad, right?
You're almost getting there.
I'm almost getting there, so I'm proud of myself. I feel like you can branch out, and the podcast has allowed me to do that. But that Thursday, I'm going to work hard. I'm not going to basically take any days off for the Thursday. So basically, I'll be like everybody else, trying to peek in through in between work, trying to watch the tournament. But Friday and Sunday, round 1 and 2 at Little Caesars Arena, I'm all about it, baby. I can't wait.
It's going to be intense. Can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, before the break, I do want to get your opinion on something that Jalen Rose said, and it piggies back to the controversy regarding the NCAA and how things have been progressing and things like that. He came out and said on a national platform, look, you guys want to make change? You want to go beyond the pomp and circumstance of the tournament? College players, step up, don't show up. Don't play in the tournament. You want to make sweeping changes? You want to maybe start the dialogue of getting paid and getting your fair share? He's like, look, when it comes time to show up and play, sit out. Don't play. He came out and said that, and he said that in order to make change and to do something bigger than yourself, sit out. Let's show these people that, look, you're the product. If you're not there, there is no product, and it would cause a massive effect. And I don't know. I don't know if it's feasible. I don't know if anybody would try. The thing I first thought was, I can't get 4 guys together to watch a game at a bar on a Saturday. How are you going to get, thousands of young kids, 18 to 22, organized to not show up? Maybe you could get 100 people, but do you think at the biggest level, a team like Michigan State, Michigan, North Carolina, Kentucky are going to walk away from the NCAA tournament? I think it's unrealistic. I do not see a scenario in which a mass protest against the NCAA with college kids could ever be organized.
It's just so dumb. Jalen Rose, I like you, Jalen, but that's a dumb comment. I mean, why didn't you do it when you were in college? Why didn't you sit out? None of these kids are going to sit out. If they are getting paid or not, this is the biggest opportunity in their lives. What about the teams that are, getting in by winning their conference tournament? You're going to tell those kids to sit out? No, they're not going to sit out. They're going to go in there and they're going to play. It doesn't work. It's the same thing with anything that, and if Lions fans, we're unhappy with our ownership, so we should just not go to the games to show them what we're unhappy. That's not going to happen. People are still going to go to the game. They're still going to watch the games, still going to buy all the gear. And it's all the same for any sport. It's a dumb thing to think about. It's not going to happen. There would need to be gigantic allegations or something bigger to warrant some sort of mass protest by the entire Division I basketball teams.
Right. They basically want to shut down the NCAA tournament. That'd be something that would get change. I mean, if they didn't show up, if the players, at a big school decided, look, maybe if they make the statement at the championship game or they make it at the Final Four, maybe that's the biggest statement if you could organize it.
If they didn't show up to the games, they would just forfeit them all. And they'd say, hey, nobody wins this year.
Maybe the likelihood is if the Final Four contestants all organized and said, look, we are going to organize and do things bigger than us. If you get the Final Four teams to just walk away and call it a day, you might make some change. You might make some noise because that's the biggest amount of money. That's a big deal. And you could maybe get 4 teams to organize and do it, but the likelihood is pretty low. It wouldn't make change. It would be something to get some dialogue going in terms of changing things.
It would never get to that point, though, because there's so many bigger things than just the basketball teams.
Yeah.
Like if those, how many 15 players and all the coaches, to get just the players and the coaches together to protest, you're then looking at the head of the school. They're more than likely going to fire them. They're going to kick all those other kids out of school, and they're going to find somebody else to play. Just think about Michigan State. Do you really see Tom Izzo protesting and having his kids sit out?
No, I don't see it. No. But it would be something to maybe rile it up a little bit, to threaten to do it. Maybe you have the 4 teams maybe show up an hour late and cause some havoc, something to get the dialogue going. Because
this is a whole nother topic about paying players,
right?
Which it's just ridiculous. It's a Pandora's box. You want to talk about Pandora's box? This is that. This is when you start talking about paying college players. There's so many different avenues in there. I remember I was listening to the radio one time and they were having the conversation, and the guy called in and he's like, I've got the problem solved. I got the answer, and this is it. And I mean, it was a dumb response. And it's like, yeah, you're the one person that knows how to fix this. There's no one easy answer. It makes zero sense. Under the whole Title IX stuff, there's no real good way to make the paying of college athletes fair for everybody, because the sports don't bring the same revenue. You're telling me that a football and a basketball player are going to get paid the same amount as a lacrosse player or a field hockey or gymnastics or swimming. Those programs, they don't bring in the type of money that football and basketball do. And those football and basketball normally fund all the other sports. So there's so many different factors that, and I'm not smart enough to figure it out either. And if there was some easy solution, I would hope that they would have figured it out by now.
Yeah, it's no easy fix, this story with the college athletes, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think that, you know what, they are trying to smooth this over, not talk about these type of issues, because it will expose those that maybe did take money and things like that. And so it's just a story that's going to continue to evolve. And here's the problem. Whenever you talk about paying players, whenever the money is that great, okay, let's say you pay the players $1,000 a week. You don't think somebody's going to try and go out there and get $6,000? Come on now.
Absolutely.
The money is so great that I think the starting point to talk about is there's going to be corruption. And it's just, look, if you do it, if there's corruption, here's the penalty. If you don't get caught, then hey, good for you. I think it's there. We have to own that it's there. And whenever the money is this great, we're talking about billions. And whenever a potential young athlete's 20 years old and people see dollar signs attached to that kid, it is a little bit ruthless. It is a little bit selfish to try and latch onto a kid for money, but that's capitalism. In this country, when there's big dollar signs and people need the money, there's a perfect marriage, a perfect storm of, hey, I need the money, I'm marketable, so I'm taking out, basically, people are thinking, I'm just taking out a loan against my future earnings. That's all these athletes are thinking is, oh, okay, I'm just taking out a loan against my future assets. I got a potential to make $4 million. If I get $100,000 now, I'll pay you back $104,000 later, and well worth it. And I would do it. And I'm not shy to say it. I would send Adam, I'd send you to the bar, and you'd walk away 70 grand richer, and we'd have a good time.
I mean, it's just, there's no easy way. I mean, if you want to make it fair, there's not enough money to pay every single college athlete the same amount of money.
It's not possible.
And to make a profit or to be able to continue funding everything. And if you want to go the route where you pay people differently, then they're not student athletes. They're athletes who happen to be going to a college and sometimes go to class. And then what's the whole point then at that point? Then just make it a minor league football or minor league basketball, because that's what it is at that point. And then, schools are really they can pay as much as they want to whoever they want. I mean, what's going to stop them from paying a kid like Marvin Bagley or a kid like Miles Bridges, millions of dollars to come play for their school? And the imbalance, it will be even greater.
All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back. We'll look at what we saw at the Combine. Some news was made with an amazing linebacker who ran a great 40. Some great storylines occurred over this past weekend at the Combine. One top prospect amazed everybody, and we got to have the discussion whether or not a running back should be taken number one when a team needs a quarterback. All that fun football talk right ahead, and of course we'll mix in who we think the Lions will pick up and who, after this weekend, who the Lions should look at and target at number 20. Stay with us. You're listening to the Motor City Sports Rant. Jason, I want to tell you about our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project, we were looking for a great place to host all of our recorded audio, and thank goodness we found Podomatic.com. Easy user interface. Jason and I, Vito, Adam, we have these great sports debate. We make fun of each other. We challenge each other. And then we take all this great recorded audio and we upload it to Podomatic. If you're looking to start a brand new podcast, you need a great host site so that you can generate links so that supporters in the country and even overseas can hear you. This podcast, the Detroit Sports Podcast, is an international podcast. People support us from overseas. A lot of active service people will say, thank you so much. They'll message me on Twitter and they'll say, thank you for keeping me in the loop regarding Detroit sports, all the way from Japan, all the way in the Philippines. it's great to be able to provide that. And you can't do that without a great host site. So if you're looking to start a brand new podcast, we recommend one host site, Podomatic.com.
What you call an icon living? Start a record label, Misfits just did it. Whoa, nylon cover 5 minutes. Whoa, we are too hot in the business. Whoa, about to make a movie independent. Whoa, need new trucks independent. Whoa, I need you to listen to the vision.
Motor City Sports Rant, Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Is this some Jaden Smith?
It is.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him, but it's not a bad song.
Not bad at all. How much of the NFL Combine did you take in this weekend? I know you're doing the family thing. Did you even know there was an NFL Combine this weekend?
I did. I brought that up last week. I knew that the Combine was coming up. I didn't actually get a chance to watch much. I caught a bunch of clips, but I definitely... This was because NFL is my thing. I love NFL. And I followed all along what was going on and who was doing what. And I mean, the Combine, I love the Combine. I know when I was doing I was going hardcore with fantasy. I was on the radio and doing the podcast. It's gold because it's just you're seeing the future of fantasy football right there. And there's one guy who stood out this week.
Who's that?
My love, Saquon Barkley.
He stood out to you, huh? Tell me about what he did.
So for Saquon Barkley, last week, I'm going to set this up for you. Last week, I was pretty much set that there was no way that the Lions were going to trade up and get Saquon Barkley. They'd probably have to go to the 4th pick, maybe even the 1st pick. And I think that was just too much for them. After the Combine now, I am almost more sold than ever. And you can call me crazy all you want, but I think more than ever now, I really, really want, and I know they're not going to, but I really, really want the Lions to do whatever it takes to get up to number 1, draft Saquon Barkley number 1, because that man is a beast.
See, Jason.
Have you looked at the numbers?
Yes, Jason, but here's the thing that you got to remember, okay?
Hold on.
I want to let you know.
Let me
I want to let you know
numbers.
something. No, here's the thing. Look at I keep things simple. You know that, okay? Just look at the last maybe 10 to 12 Super Bowl caliber teams. Do they have first-round running backs? No, the Eagles had a committee of running backs. And so I would say if you're looking to get that stud running back, yes, you need it. You need an efficient running back, but you could also get there with somebody if you had a decent offensive line, and you could get the likes of a Kamara, the offensive rookie of the year, who was drafted in the third.
Faster than Alvin Kamara?
Who's that?
Saquon Barkley.
You're saying, look, history be damned. You don't need a top running back if you want to have ultimate success. You need a great offensive line, and you can get a running back that's serviceable, especially in a class like this, much deeper later in the draft. Don't you think you'd go with that philosophy? What every other team does?
I know, and that's why I think cooler heads will prevail with the Lions, and I think the package would just be enormous for them to have to get the number 1 pick. But all I'm saying is if they wanted to make a move and go up to number 1 and get Saquon Barkley, I wouldn't immediately crucify them because that guy is absolutely insane. They showed just looking at his 40 time alone, ran a 4.40. The guy is 233 pounds. Now, guys that he ran faster than Zeke Elliott, ran faster than Leonard Fournette, ran faster than Alvin Kamara. Let's jump over to the wide receivers. Ran faster than Julio Jones. Ran faster than Odell Beckham Jr. Ran faster than Antonio Brown. And that's just the 40. Now, one of my favorite tweets that I saw there was it compared all like the big ones. So it had his bench press. He did 29 reps. Joe Thomas, a future Hall of Fame offensive lineman, did 28 reps. 10-yard split, which probably a better measures their football speed. They have Deshaun Jackson. He had a 1.55 second split. Saquon Barkley, a 1.54 second split. 40-yard dash, I already said. He had the 4.40. And vertical jump, Julio Jones, you know that guy, the wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, had a 38.5-inch vertical. Saquon Barkley, 41 inches. So he's stronger than Joe Thomas. He's quicker than Deshaun Jackson, and he jumps higher than Julio Jones, and he's faster than all those other running backs that I listed. The man is anomaly. It makes no sense, and it makes all the sense in the world. And
should the Browns take him number 1, knowing that they have number 4 pick, they can do running back, quarterback, but knowing that they have the top pick, do you think the name is going to be called is Saquon Barkley number 1 overall?
I think if they really want to fix their offense, I think taking the going running back and quarterback, I think that immediately helps their team. And what if they do go, let's say they go out and get the Kirk Cousins, and that fixes their quarterback problem. They don't got to worry about that at number 4. They can go Saquon Barkley number 1 and then fix something else there. Because there's also, there's that defensive end from North Carolina State who he's also going to be really good. He may be gone by that point if the other teams choose to take the quarterbacks. But I think if they are sold on Saquon Barkley, I think you have to take him number 1 because there's absolutely no way that he gets to number 4. I think one of the other 2 teams is definitely going to go take him with the second or the third spot. So if the Browns really want him, they got to go number 1.
Man, I just feel like if you're the Browns, you've missed on so many quarterbacks that maybe you go with the notion of getting the running back and then getting the quarterback because you are drafting 4th. But don't you think, though, that they should just go out there, number 1, and get Josh Allen? Go out there and just get that number 1 stud quarterback and handle your business and get the guy that many people believe is the top guy.
Yeah, but number 1 quarterbacks nowadays, they're no guarantee. There's no guarantee for those guys either. Deshaun Watson, who I think you could argue that he was probably the best quarterback out of this last year's class. He went in the later part of the first round. I think, drafting at 4, they're going to have their choice between whoever's not taken of Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, and Sam Darnold. And I think you even throw Baker Mayfield into that question with them. I think they're going to get their quarterback one way or the other. I just think it'd be smarter. You put out a team there with Saquon Barkley and then one of those rookie quarterbacks, then I think you're putting out a good lineup, and I think you're immediately you have everywhere to go but up. As an 0-16 team.
I know you want to shoot up in the draft and get into the top spot and things like that, but it would cost too much. If they do their homework and they want to have a chance to move up, I feel like the best bet, if you think the Lions are going to move up, is probably just to move up a couple spots, make a trade with the Baltimore Ravens, get Orlando Brown, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. This dude is 6'8", 345, would do some damage, and he could do some things. So if they move up, I don't see them moving up drastically. I think they would just kind of be a little bit conservative. I'm of the opinion with the Cleveland Browns, go out there. I know you've missed in the past, but you got that situation where you got to get that quarterback and you build through the offensive line. So I would go quarterback, offensive line, or I would go quarterback, offensive lineman, defensive lineman in that spot, number 4. So I would take that quarterback.
I'm just not sure if the talent is there at number 4 for offensive line, of where those guys should be drafted.
You don't think so?
I don't have a big board in front of me to look at.
Well, I think the first lineman that people have is the guard, Quentin Nelson from Notre Dame.
And where's he ranked, though?
Number
He's ranked 7th?
He's ranked 7 to go to Tampa Bay.
Why would you put him then at number 7? So looking at the big board, it's just I get that the prospects are there. They have the Nelson from Notre Dame. They have the Brown from Oklahoma that you were talking about. I'm just not sure if those guys warrant that number 4 pick.
Our Twitter followers at Detroit Podcast are with you, man. We've already gotten half a dozen messages. Page 219 in big bold letters. Trade up for Saquon. They're with you, man. They want to get the running back for the Lions, man. I get it. It's crazy. I get it. It is crazy, but I really do believe that our offense would be complete at that point. You could keep Abdullah, you could keep Riddick. I think Saquon Barkley as the lead running back on this team, we're instantly if not a contender, the favorite to win the NFC North. Mm-hmm. And the first offensive lineman is ranked number 5, Orlando Brown, but he's not projected to go until like maybe 15 or 16. So maybe there's not value there in going offensive line for the Browns. I mean,
barring a complete bust, I think Barkley, he's going to be he's going to be a talent. He's going to win somebody some games, and he's going to win them playoff games. And you look at the big running back names right now, Zeke Elliott and Todd Gurley and Devontae Freeman, and he's going to be right there. He's going to be that. he's going to be right up there with those guys.
How bad a break is it for Maurice Hurst? You plan, you're training, and all of a sudden you show up to the combine and they find a heart condition. They have to send you home. Do you think that precludes the Lions from even considering him? Because I don't see him anywhere near the first round anymore. Just at this point in time, with the fact that he's got a heart condition, it's common. It's happened before. This is not unheard of. A player like Nick Fairley's been sent home with a heart condition. And at this point, Maurice Hurst has been sent home for further testing. You hope that it doesn't ruin his career, but do you think that the Lions should just, at this point in time, just whatever the results are, just kind of pass on a Maurice Hurst because you don't want to take somebody with a question mark, especially with a ticker?
I think you really you have to be absolutely 100% sure that there's nothing's going to go wrong, that maybe it was just a fluke, and that he has the full clean bill of health. Otherwise, I think you have to really, either if you are going to take him, you got to drop him down on your board, because the way these drafts work, you need to hit on these first, second, third round picks if you're going to be successful. And that's been one of the Lions' biggest things, is that they draft these guys 1, 2, 3, and they get zero production out of them. To have this possibility of, when you are dealing with the heart, it is something that it could be something that's a non-factor, but it also could be something that just it could end his career. And I would hate to see that for a guy. Rivalry aside, you never really want to see a guy have his career end for something like this.
Okay, so at number 20, Detroit Lions. Is there anybody, based on what you saw at the combine, that wowed you and made you say, go get him? Or are you looking at some mock drafts and saying, this is the guy I want besides Saquon Barkley? I know you and I would have a parade. We'd flip out. We'd mark out. When wrestling fans freak out when there's a surprise, we call it marking out. We would mark out if Saquon Barkley was a Detroit Lion. But anybody else that you think the Lions should go out there and get, or a position that you say, okay, if you get anybody in this position group, you'd be satisfied? Because I know you came out last week and said your bold prediction is we're going to be upset no matter who it is.
Yeah. And that's true. It's going to hold true unless we go out.
Solve the problem, Jason. Solve the problem besides Saquon Barkley. Give us maybe 2 other options. Come on.
I said it last week. I think Sam Hubbard is going to be the strong choice there at number 20. Maybe if Mohurst, he's probably, whether he does get a clean bill of health, I think he's gonna drop with this whole heart condition, and that could be a guy that you're looking at. I think one guy who I think he's definitely going to be shooting up guys' boards this week after his performance at the combine is the Central Florida linebacker, the Shaq Griffin, who went out there.
Wow.
He was just blazing fast. I mean, he's faster than a lot of running backs and wide receivers. I think he ran like a 4.38.
It was, I think, the fastest
It was like
linebacker.
the fastest linebacker since 2006.
Wow.
And I mean,
opened some eyes with what he was doing.
I mean, he does not have a hand on one of his arms, which, I mean, again, that's also something it's amazing that he does all that stuff and that he was able to be productive. You got to open some eyes, and outside linebacker is a position of need. I mean, there's not a whole lot of positions that aren't a position of need for the Lions. I mean, but if a guy that can fly at the quarterback and move around, if he can cover in the passing game, I think that guy could be a really interesting player on Sundays.
Very enjoyable podcast, sir. I can't wait for the draft. Now the talk is going to evolve after the combine. We're going to get a chance to replay it. I know the NFL Network plays it over and over. We get to see these 40 times. We get to see what they lifted, the skills and things like that. It's a fun time for the NFL and especially for the Detroit Lions. A lot of people are messaging us on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. If you listen to this and you hear a name that you want, message us. DMoney313 gets in before we get out of here. He's heard that the Lions are absolutely in love with the running back guys from LSU. So keep that name in mind.
I like Geis, and I know last week we talked about Sony Michel. I'm going to look at, I'd actually want to say the other Georgia running back, Nick Chubb, who I think you can probably look at in the 2nd or 3rd round. He could be an interesting player. He's a hard runner. He looks like a slightly lesser version of Saquon Barkley, and he also beasted out on the bench press. And what I want more than ever is a running back who's just strong and can hit holes and hit them hard. And I think that's a guy who could actually do that.
Great football talk, Jason. All right, I see. If it's the Combine, if it's the Underwear Olympics, you'll watch it. But if it's Michigan State basketball, you're like, whatever. I'll just take 2 hours.
Right? Football's king. Football's king, always.
Football is king. Thank you so much. I enjoyed your time. Great podcast recording. Can't wait for the next one. Great time, sir. If you like this podcast and you want to support us for free, just visit our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. It's the hub of the operation. It's where you can go to find out what show airs when, and you can support us free by taking care of all your online shopping needs. Click through the online banners, maybe buy some tickets. We appreciate all the support. Thank you for visiting our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. See you later, Jason.
Peace out.
Okay, nice, idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.